Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I created this electric blue smoky eye as a modern take on Cleopatra. So let's get started. To prime for the makeup application, I'm starting with some skin prep. This is a really important step I think a lot of people miss, and it can really make or break the makeup look. I recommend spending time analysing the skin type you're working with and take the opportunity to ask questions. This helps in selecting the appropriate skincare products for your client's skin type and will help optimise the finish and the longevity of the makeup. My model Neel has amazing skin and said that her beauty secret is using olive oil to nourish her hair and skin, as well as staying out of the sun. She said she learnt this from her mother, who has yet to have a grey hair, so I'm sure good genetics plays a role too. To cleanse and add luminosity to the skin, I'm using the Ultraceuticles Ultra Brightening Cleanser. I love this cleanser as it doesn't leave any residue on the skin, and it's also suitable for all skin types, especially sensitive skin. To gently remove the cleanser, I'm using a disposable Fibrella wipe soaked in warm water. I then like to use a tissue to pat the skin dry before I apply any more products. As Neel has a normal to dry skin type, I would usually use a face oil prior to moisturiser, but I'm swapping this out for a hyaluronic acid serum. This is because I intend on using Airbrush foundation, which is water-based, and oil and water don't mix. Next, I'm just going in and priming the lips with a little bit of Mecca Lip Delicious on a Q-tip. Next, I'm applying some of the Embryolisse Lait Cream Concentrate. So this is just a cream moisturiser, which I'm applying a liberal amount of. This is just because I want to apply a lot of powders on top, so the more moisture there is in the skin, the more powder you can use. Then I'm just applying some of the Embryolisse Eye Contour Cream directly under Neel's eyes, just to hydrate the under eye area. Next, I'm going ahead and priming Neel's eyelids just using some cream foundation. This is from my Cinema Secrets Pro Foundation palette. And then I'm just using another brush just to blend that out to ensure the base is nice and even before we set it with any powder. Next, I'm using the Ben Nye No Colour Powder on a small fluffy brush and using that to set the eyelids, just so that when I apply the transition shades, they glide on nice and smoothly onto the eyelid. For the transition shades, I'm first starting with MAC's Soft Brown Eyeshadow and using that on a 217 blending brush, and I'm just nesting that in Neel's crease. You always want to start with a lighter transition shade and then gradually build from light to dark, because if you just start with a dark eyeshadow, you're going to have issues blending that out later. Next, I'm taking another 217 brush and I'm using Embark eyeshadow by MAC just to deepen up the crease and add some nice depth, so that when we place the lid shade on top, it's just going to gradate really nicely. Then I'm just taking a clean 217 brush and just going over the edges just to ensure that there's no harsh lines and that the eyeshadow is blended seamlessly. Before I apply the blue eyeshadow to the lid, I'm actually applying a black gel liner using a small concealer brush and just patting that onto the lid so it's nice and pigmented. I'm trying to get this product on in as few strokes as possible, because that's just going to make the product as wet as possible so that the dry pigment adheres well to the product. Black is also a great colour to use under any shimmery eyeshadows, as it really makes the shimmers pop on the eyes. Next, I'm applying some Femme Sparkle Dust in Royal Blue on a 239 shading brush and just packing that onto the lid just to ensure I have the maximum colour payoff. To deepen up the crease and add some dimension, I'm just using some Carbon Eyeshadow from MAC on a small blending brush and concentrating that in the outer V. Next, I'm just repeating everything I've done on the right eye on the left, just to ensure that that gel liner stays tacky enough so that the pigment will adhere to the skin. Next, I'm just using a makeup wipe to remove any fallout that may have occurred underneath the eyes, and then moving on to eyeliner. I'm using that same Maybelline gel eyeliner on an angled eyeliner brush and applying that directly to the lash line. I'm then using a clean angled eyeliner brush with some of that Carbon Eyeshadow I used from before and using that to smoke out the lash line. Next, I'm applying some Corrector underneath the eyes to neutralize any darkness. I'm using the Cinema Secrets Corrector palette in the number 2 to achieve this. Next, I'm using some more Cinema Secrets foundation, but this time in a shade I want to highlight with. So I'm applying this product underneath the eyes, forehead, nose, chin, and any areas where I want to bring forward. Next, I'm taking a small buffing brush and using that to blend the product into the skin. I find a buffing brush is generally the best way to apply this foundation, as the synthetic bristles don't absorb the product as much. Next, I'm taking a slightly deeper shade of that foundation and using it to contour the perimeters of the face. I'm applying this to the forehead, underneath the cheekbones, jawline, and nose. I tend to find a lot of people that are of South Asian descent tend to have some darkness or pigmentation around the mouth. So what I'm doing is using that same orange corrector and using that just to neutralize any of those tones, and then just applying some additional foundation on top. Next, I'm applying some cream blush to the apples of the cheeks so that when we put the airbrush foundation on top, it's just going to have this glowing effect. Before I apply the airbrush foundation, I'm just testing it on a cotton pad first, and then I'm applying it to the perimeters of the face, and then I'm using a lighter shade to highlight the center of the face. Next, I'm just using a disposable makeup wedge just to buffer any lines that may have been caused when the concealer creased before I go and set it with any loose translucent powder. I'm then using that same translucent powder just to set the T-zone and any areas where I don't want there to be any shine. Next, I'm just intensifying the contour using NARS Casino Bronzer, and then using NARS Blush in Luster, which is a nice neutral blush shade, which is just going to help to bring the look together. I'm next using the Femme Sparkle Dust in Hue and applying that to the tops of the cheekbones just to highlight these areas. I believe Napoleon Sparkle Dust in Pink Champagne is also a dupe for this product. Next, I'm using the Model Rock Pro Edge Eyelash Curler and using this to curl the lashes before I go on and apply any mascara. For mascara, I'm using the Maybelline Great Lash Volumizing Mascara on a disposable mascara wand and just using a tissue to prevent that product from going on the cheek. Next, I'm colour correcting underneath the eyes using the Ben Nye Translucent Powder in Pretty Pink, which is just going to make the under eye highlight a little bit more neutral toned opposed to warm toned. Next, I'm using the Inglot Gel Liner in 77 to tight line the lower lash line and ensure that the waterline is nice and opaque and long wearing. To smoke out the lower lash line, I'm just using the same shades I used as the transition shades on the upper eyelid, so Soft Brown, Swiss Chocolate and Embark from MAC. For false lashes, I'm using the Miss Milan false lashes from Model Rock, and these are a double layered style, so they're going to give a beautiful smoky effect. To highlight the inner corners, I'm just using that same sparkle dust from Femme in Hue and using that on a small detailing brush. To apply the lower lash mascara, I'm just using that same Great Lash mascara on a disposable mascara wand, and this one is a smaller version so I can get right up close into the lashes. I'm just using a tissue to prevent that product from dropping down to the cheek as well. Now I'm just removing any excess foundation from the brows and the lips using a makeup wipe, and then just setting the brows with some clear brow gel. For lips, I'm using Honey Love by MAC and applying that with a lip brush for some precision, and then I'm just using Stripped Down Lip Liner by MAC just to fill out the edges of the lips and add some more definition. And then to complete the look, I'm using some MAC Fix Plus to bring the makeup to life. And that's the finished look, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Neel and I absolutely adored how this turned out, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.